Hey friends, hope you're doing fine. Now last time I showed you how you can create dynamic visualizations using pages in Tableau. And this time we're going to do the same and I'm going to show you the options which are available in Power BI. So let's get into that. Now, we have basically two options to create dynamic visualizations. First one would be with one default visualization which is available out of all of them we have. And the second one would be to import a custom visual. Now, of course, I'm aware that not all companies support or allow custom visuals. So if that would not work for you, then the only way to go would be to use the default visualization, which supports that. Maybe let's start with this one. The default visualization, which supports the dynamic visualization which I'm talking about, is the scatter plot. This is the only visualization type which allows that. So let me show you how that works. Let me take this option and let's maybe increase the size here. That is our scatter plot. And of course, for the scatter plot, we need something on the axis. So on the X and the Y axis. So let's search in my data set for total sales. So total sales, there it is. I will use this value in here. And then for the second axis, I will go with profit. Of course, you can use whatever kind of measure you want. It's up to you. I'm searching for profit. And then I also take on value here. Okay, so we got our total profit on the y-axis, total sales on the x-axis. You can also swap those two if you want in here. Finally, because I would like to have this separated by country, I can simply go inside my fields area and actually maybe instead of country using category. Okay, I want to use category. Take the category option or drag it into, in this case, the legend or the details, up to you. If you drag it in a legend, you would see different kinds of colors in here in the legend. If you drag it into detail, you just see the dots in here. It's up to you what you want to do. So maybe let's drag it into the legend, that's fine. And then we also have the legend in here, which of course you can also customize here if you take a closer look at. So if you go on legend here, you can customize it, can set the position, top, bottom, left, and so on. So for instance, left, then the legend would be here, or left center, right? And it would be here and so on. So that's up to you. Okay, so now we have the visual. And if you select the visual again, you'll see that there is one option, which is play axis. Now, as I said, the scatter plot is the only visual, currently at least at this point in time, which has this option play axis. So this allows us to put any kind of measure in here, or sorry, not measure, any kind of, in this case, field we have, so any column. So let's say here I'm going with the country. So I have customer country in here, and I could drag this into the play axis, drag and drop here. And then you'll see that now we have this play axis here, and there are also the countries in here. You can also use a date dimension, for instance. This could be helpful just to see how the dots then develop over time. In this case, I simply choose to see them for each of the countries. You can see there, it starts with Venezuela. And now if I click on the run button here, you'll see that now I have the countries in here and then my data dynamically updates, right? And I can see exactly how the dots move in here. So let's go through that, just a few seconds more, and then we're good to go. So that's how that works. And as I said, you can drag any kind of field you want on the play axis. It's up to you. Now, the issue with this is actually twice. There are two issues. The first one is that it only works with the scatter plot. But as soon as you choose any other kind of visual you have in here, it will not work anymore. That's the first issue. And the second issue, which at least from my point of view, is that my options to adjust here the play axis are rather limited. What I mean by that is, for instance, think about the speed, how the axis is moving, or do I want to repeat after the axis, or basically the play ran through? So do I want to create a loop to repeat then, so to have it actually dynamic all the time? So all this is currently missing. At least I can't find it here directly. So that's why I do not prefer this option. Instead, I would like to use one of the custom visuals. So if this is possible for you and you want to have this behavior, then I would suggest you use the play axis. So let's do that. Let's go to the three dots here and go to get more visuals. You need to be logged in to Power BI to do that. then you can download any kind of visual from here. So I can actually take a look at the search here and search for play. If you search for play, you find play access in here. You just need to tick it, and then you see it here, and you can add it if you want. And you see that now it has been added, and there's this option play access. Simply a new visual, which is now available for us. Now let me create a new page in here. And now let's actually create, again, a dynamic visualization using this play access. Let's say this time I don't want to use a scatter plot because, as I said, the play axis can be used for any kind of visual. So let's say we use here a bar chart. And for the bars, again, I would like to see in this case, let's say categories, take this option, and then any kind of measure. So let me tick this, any kind of measure. Let's say here the total profit, for instance. Spelled differently, total profit, here it is. Let me tick this option, and now I see here the profit for each of the different kinds of categories. And of course we can customize this further. As you know, you can add the data labels and choose different kinds of colors and so on. So I leave this up to you. The point is, now we would like to add here this dynamic visualization part using the play axis. So I can tick the play axis here, and then let me paste it here, and then I need to add a field. So again, I will use the customer country for that. So let's search for country in my data set, and then I can tick the customer country. Just make sure that you still have the visual selected, and then you can simply tick it, and you see it's added to the field list in here. So now I can see I have customer country in here, I have my play axis, and here the customer country, which is currently on the axis. And of course, I can customize this further, for instance, changing the font and so on. But the main point really is that now I can simply click on this play axis here, this run, and you'll see that then the visual gets updated based on the country. Now, one thing to note here is, let's actually do that, and then you see the one thing which you need to be aware of. By default, as you can see here, it works. However, it's only grayed out, right? It's not the filtering behavior. This is why I will stop this and first go to the format option here and make sure that under edit interactions I just use filter and not highlight. So check on filter here, okay. And now if you run this again, you'll see that now the data filters here to the specific country, right? As you can see here. And by the way, if you want to add also the country as a label here, you see it's available in the play axis, but still you have the option to also add it as a label. All you need to do is simply create a measure for that. So for instance, let's say new measure in here, or right click on the measures table, new measure. And then you simply specify here the selected country simply by using a formula we all know, which is the selected value. So let's say selected country equals, and now selected value here, and I'm simply using the customer country. So from the orders table, in my case, I close this and I'm good to go. So select country obviously already exists. So that's a country PA. So for play axis, I'm using this one. Okay, and there it is. And now let me just go in here. Let me select it. So just untick this one on the selected country. I think it's this one, right? PA. And okay, by default, nothing is selected. That's fine. You could also add a default value, by the way. You can say here as a default, let me go in here and choose all as a default. Okay. So let me execute it. And then let me actually switch this to a card so we can see the value. Now you can see here all. And now if I run this here, start running, you'll see that now it starts with 0. This is just a data mistake. But then you see here the individual name, and you can see here the filtering of the data dynamically. So next to this option, let's just wait until this is finished. And let's talk about the customization options which are available for the customer country in the play axis. So the play axis visual, if you tick it and go to the formatting options, you'll see that under the animation settings, you can specify the auto start. So do you want to tick this or not? You can also specify a loop. So do you want to rerun it after it's done all the time? And also you can customize the time, which allows you to speed up or slow down, depending on what kind of milliseconds you enter here, the transition between, in this case, the countries. So for instance, you've seen it with 1000 milliseconds, so 1 second. But if I type, for instance, 2 seconds, 2000 milliseconds, and then I would run this, then you'll see that the behavior here changes. It updates, but it's much slower, right? As you can see here. So also something you can customize in here, which is not available by default when you use the scatter plot. So that's it actually for creating dynamic visualizations. So hopefully that was helpful. Give it a go yourself. Maybe you can use it in your visualizations. And otherwise, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.